presence often, right? Okay, so come back to you. You first started with once or twice a day meditation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you go to work and it was like
Yeah.
Lost or
Yeah.
not. And then you realize that, hey, it needs more than twice a day. So you would have this like, I guess, what would you do? You will engage in this some kind of not to check out in the mind and be aware as you're driving, or what kind of tools, practices of first dimension you were using then to be less compartmentalized?
Yeah. So what I realized during meditation is that you can stop in any moment and just recognize being aware. You might have to see a thought or something, but if you just stay with something, just like you did, the sense of awareness is there. You just need a short moment is all you need. You don't actually need a long meditation. So I'd be practicing while I'm at work, and I would just short moments. That's all. Didn't do long things. It would just be like walking or typing or something and stopping and noticing what's there now. Just like when you said, my butt is on the chair, there would be things like that, or story or something. And just stopping in the middle of seeing what I'm thinking throughout the day, and then recognizing the awareness in that short moment. And then I go about my business. And as soon as I think of it again, I stop again, because it's there every time. It's always here. So all I have to do is recognize it. That's my job, is just to recognize what's always here. See, I don't have to cultivate anything. I just recognize that it's here. And I keep doing that throughout the day. And there's something that happens through that where now I'm driven to be here. Whereas before I was, I needed to be here. But if you discover this enough throughout the day, it's like, that call to come home or something. It's like it starts to over, and now you just come back here naturally. There's a tilt. And once you get tilt where you actually realize this is what you are, you want to be here, and you even go deeper into seeing it. In the beginning, though, I think there's some difficulty with people because they don't yet see that they are this. They don't even get a glimpse of it, and they're trying to, like, you know what I mean?
It's too elusive. It's too invisible. Yeah. It's like trying to catch the invisible man.
Yeah. But if you do short moments, this is a Dzogchen thing, repeated many times, I think it's accessible for people, maybe.
Yeah. So I guess you discover, the coming back to the sense of being aware, and then there's a felt sense, taste, although it's not an object.
Right.
And then whenever, I guess, then, so I guess it creates a self, it's a reminding program is being created in your consciousness because of your interest.
Yeah.
So then as you are typing an email, the thought about recognizing presence comes, and then you use that as a alarm clock, and then come back home.
Yeah.
This is very much fourth way. That would be like self-remembering.
Yeah.
Self-remembering as often as possible, even if a little bit. Okay, so then this creates some kind of conscious momentum if we are interested.
Yeah.
Right? It wants to grow by itself and remind itself.
But what I say to people, like you said, it has to be your interest. It has to be a priority, because, you can't use presence as a remedy. We talked about that, because if you use it as a remedy, you'll just do it when you're triggered. But if you use it as a discovery, like, I actually want to know what I am, like, this is really important to me, then I'm going to stop throughout the day. So in other words, I used to say, like, it's right under eating and breathing, because it's there all the time. If you put it way down, it has to be important to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the interest. The interest is it means love, basically. So I love. I'm interested in this. My enthusiasm goes there. Yeah. Okay. So you were kind of, and that make a difference in you. So now you'll do like once or twice a day. No action, just meditation. Recognizing presence.
At a certain point, once I brought in the short moments, I didn't need to meditate, because I recognize it's always here. So it's just checking into it.
So then
there's a lot of then, but the one thing is that even as you were saying, the stomach sensation, that right there, it could be an inquiry thing, because what that tells me is that there's programming there. But if we're just pointing, I wouldn't point to that. See, so your stomach sensation probably has programming around emotion or something. If it does, that's the bypass by not dealing with that. But that's okay, as long as we mention it,
Yeah.
that that's what's going on there potentially, and that this kind of pointing doesn't normally not always get to it. Just have to
Yeah.
be really honest about that, is how I want to point.
Hey, so here we are going something. I like that. So you are. I understand you didn't want to go into, hey, just presence to hide from the trigger, and you described how you were coming to presence out of interest, and so all good so far, no problem yet. Then there is something in the stomach.
Yeah.
So how would you now start the path in a correct way? So yeah, I'm recognizing presence. There's something in the stomach. I mean, for me, really, it passed, and there was something I didn't eat. But let's say there is something in the stomach. So how can, now I'm in first dimension. So now, yeah, start the inside out path. Now I guess it's the need to investigate or go into second dimension.
Yeah, or third. Yeah. So well,
Right
maybe
away.
have an
Yeah.
understanding first. The understanding is that you need to have an understanding of whether you have repression. And if you do, is that what that is? See,
Yeah.
understanding. And if you know that that's what that is, then the further part of the understanding is that that repression, because it's repression, is not going to arise to awareness. That's part of the understanding. So now it's an easy step to bring in second or third dimension, because you can't get to it very well in first dimension. It's just common sense now.
Yeah.
You understand that. So you go into second dimension to start conjuring things up that are hidden in that area to get to the, and then you can come back to pointing or being in awareness. You know, they work together. That's the whole thing. Like, it's all happening in awareness, but by bringing the inquiry in, now you can process that. That identification is playing into your capacity to be here and live here. That stomach thing is totally relevant to the recognition of awareness, actually.
Yeah.
Because as you process that, there'll be a more natural abiding in this just by processing that, because the embodiment is part of it. So I would say it's all part of the same thing, is what I'm trying to say. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I understand, but I like how we put it, because we include the first dimension. So now we're recognizing it's here, then something in my stomach, I can go into, what is this about? Whoa, my rent is due.
Yeah.
Okay. Or I don't know if I'm going to have money this month. Okay, so I'm mining out, I'm aware of the thought. That might be enough. They'll be like, oh yeah.
Fear. Yeah.
And then it relaxes, going back to first dimension.
Yeah, just awareness. Yeah.
Or it's like, okay, something in my belly, that seems emotional. I'm not angry about anything. Well, let's say, because I know I'm storing anger, and I'm a nice boy, because I looked into that before. I'm not angry about anything.
There it is.
Oh, I'm angry. I don't like how they talk to me, and okay. So now we can go into third dimension.
That's a non-duality I can live with, the way that you're doing here.
Yeah. Okay. So we go into rapid fire, and I want to, okay, I it is anger now, and it is anger about this, and check. It's okay to feel this. It's all okay if I want to feel this now. No. Okay, so now it reveals resistance.
Yeah, that's it.
This. I never want to feel this. Okay, so I'm going to now serious investigation of anger, what it is about, and the fact I don't want it. And so I do it.
Right.
And then it relaxes. So go back into presence or working on a computer.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how it would look like an inside-out path, awareness-based inside-out path. Look like that.
All right. I'm very happy about that, because I think that people are not aware that this first dimension, I mean, I imagine is not aware, at least a lot of people I work with. So they are going into some, what do I do? And which still works, and you get benefit from being asleep to.
Yeah, using it as a remedy. That's using it as a remedy. That's what I mean. Like, that's my other way of saying cultivate awareness from the beginning. Don't use awareness as a remedy or fix. In other words, if you only become interested in awareness when you're not doing well,
Yeah,
that's the cautioning against that. You
yeah,
don't want to bring awareness in, especially during triggers, in my view,
yeah,
because that's not an appropriate use of it. First of all, because there's too much unconsciousness. And plus, if you're bringing awareness in when you're not doing well, that's not treating the subject the right way. This is
yeah,
just to feel better. So I would say definitely cultivate the recognition of awareness throughout your life all day long. That
yeah.
way, it's not a remedy or a fix, it's the ground of your being. And you can look from there then.
I understand. So don't just, although the teachings, they say, hey, take refuge in presence, take refuge in awareness, whatever, which,
But that's not, I don't think that's refuge in that way. I think it's refuge in the sense that that's what you are.
yeah,
You're taking refuge in what you are. It's not really refuge to avoid things. I don't like it if they're saying it that way.
yeah,
You don't have to take refuge in avoidance of anything.
yeah. So I'm totally on the same page with you. What I want to make a little dissociation here is that, okay, so I have suffering, I have a trigger. For most people, for many people, when there's a trigger, there's a scattered mind and many thoughts, and it's like,
Yeah,
So in order to investigate a little bit what's happening, I need to get a little bit more present,
yeah,
but in order to investigate, not in order to make it better.
yes, that's
Yeah,
it.
in order to sharpen the focus of the,
Yeah,
and
totally. Because can you explain
yeah,
that a little bit more? Because that's a really good point. If I just rest as a presence, I might be reinforcing the repression that's hidden. If I just do that,
yeah,
if I overemphasize that, but if I just do a little bit to come into inquiry, that's healthy, I think, because then I can look and I don't have
yeah,
to bypass the trauma in that way. So that's a really good point. I wanted to make sure everybody heard that.
yeah. Thich Nhat Hanh was talking about it. Like they say, when you are triggered or suffering, you are like a tree in the wind, and the branches are moving. The branches are the mind. So
Yeah,
now you have a mind all over the place. And he says, hey, do like 5, be aware of your belly rising and falling, just so that you stabilize consciousness a little bit in order to look into why you
yeah,
are suffering.
right. Not to avoid the stuff.
Yes.
That's my
Yeah.
point. Right.
To stabilize the mind so you can see what is this about? What does it say? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
Also, the same mind that uses presence in order to fix and avoid can be using KI
Yes.
to fix and avoid. Like,
100%.
I don't know that, like, okay, there's something's happening. Okay, let's go into inquiry right now. And I'm doing everything right, but there is the agenda of I don't like this and I want to get rid of this. And I verify that if I do this, is going to.
But this is why I talk about primary repression. This is it right here. Because see, if you go to the primary repression, that would be what you would normally avoid. If I'm pointing to it, you're not going to avoid it. See? But people get upset with me about constantly pointing to that, but that's the reason that I'm doing it, because that would be what you would be avoiding. What you already avoid is what you would be avoiding, in other words.
Okay.
So, in other words,
Mhm.
let's hear this out for a second. Does
Yeah.
that make sense why I'm constantly pointing to the primary repression now, based on what you just said? See, because left to our own devices, we would continue avoiding that, left to our own devices. So
Mhm.
I'm pointing to say, don't leave it to your own devices. Pick
Mhm.
up skills and go there. See, because that would be the thing that you would avoid in spirituality, in my view, that whatever makes up that primary repression, traits, emotion. So if you go there, you're not avoiding in spirituality, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Okay. So you are saying what drives this phenomena to go into I go into some third dimension tools right
Yeah.
now, but because I don't like this feeling in my belly.
Yeah.
Yeah, what drives that is the
Repression of hurt.
question of hurt.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So if but it's not going to work so well, the process, because then if I engage in inquiry from trying not to feel, then it's not going to be effective.
Well, right, because I think the trying not to feel is the repression mechanism. That's what that is. You can't be driven by that. You have to look at that. That has to be brought into awareness. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel this. Has to be made conscious. If you don't, you could be inquiring from the program, trying to get rid of things. I think. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And I do, you know, like I'm doing this with people that have strong suffering, and they've tried many things.
Yeah.
We tried many paths. And so I do your suggestion. I work with a person. I'm like, hey, can we look into, because there might be this program that, well, this is not going to work. I tried everything. KI is not going to work. So doing some reverse inquiry, like it's possible for me to get better using this method.
Yeah.
You know, and so
that's important to do, because if you've done a string of methods which have not gotten to the avoidance, you can easily be conditioned into the idea that you can't get to the avoidance, and you have conditioning that doesn't even want to get to the avoidance. So you have a sabotage by the time you get to KI. I totally understand that that's where you have to go. Many people, because they already conditioned into thinking, they've already decided it's not going to work. It's not going to work because you already believe it's not going to. And that's really powerful conditioning when we believe that.
Yeah. Or I need to suffer kind of program. I need to suffer.
Yeah, but what I've been saying about that, if you look though, it's not, I know that we need to suffer, but when I think about it, I don't want to suffer. What I do is I want to stay safe and get love. That's the whole thing, is what I'm saying, is most of the stuff that we believe it to stay safe and get love. We're staying safe from emotions. So I don't think that we actually need to suffer or even want to. I think that we're trying to stay safe and get love, and we're suffering as a result of it. And we can't get out of it because it's a double bind. It's like we have to stay safe and get love, but we suffer because of it. So it's like, what do you do? You know, it looks like we need to suffer, but I don't even think any of us really even like pain. Like we don't really want to suffer. It's just that we're scared. That's what I think. We're scared to feel. We're scared to feel, so we suffer.
Yeah.